Hey everybody, it's Daphne with Laura Entertainment. We are sitting down. How do you say your last name? Because I don't want to screw that.
Matuschek.
Patushek. Eric Patushek.
Matuschek.
I didn't want to screw that up, so
Oh, and everybody does, so it would have been okay.
we'll just call you Eric.
I know, that's easier.
All right, Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, we I don't know if I want to go in detail as far as this one. I might lose followers.
Right?
So tell us a little bit about your acting career, your stunt career.
Yes, it's more, I would call it more of a stunt career, and definitely have done a little bit of acting, and it usually entails a little bit of dialogue before I get shot or blown out of a window or kicked off of a top of a building or something of that nature. So yeah, I definitely am okay with some dialogue, but it usually always relates to some kind of a stunt and me getting killed in the end, which I'm okay with.
You sound like Wetzel. Had him on there. That was funny. Oh my goodness. So, question, what was it like working on the Transformer movie?
um, well, I guess I can say this because it probably won't hurt me anymore. But I worked with Michael Bay, and anybody that's ever worked with Michael Bay,
Mhm.
that's a whole new experience.
Yeah.
The guy's obviously phenomenal with what he does, and but working with Michael Bay is like no other. You have to. It takes a minute to get adjusted and understand how he operates. But I can tell you, you can feel the tension on the set in every single department whenever you're working with Michael Bay. And I've worked with Michael Bay. I believe I've done at least 6 of his projects over the years. So, once I got used to him and understood how he works, then it's smooth sailing. But in the first time you work for him, it's very intimidating because he's a definitely a screamer, um, and he demands. He's very demanding and screaming, and just puts everybody on edge. But overall, it was a great experience. Like I said, once I tuned into how he operates, it was all good. So it was fun.
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Transformers, hey,
Exactly.
they're always blowing something up. I was
Yes.
watching something that was put on LinkedIn. I think it was the Transformers movie or something like that. And that guy was blowing up all kinds of shit.
Oh yeah.
Damn, that looks fun.
Yes. It's like screw the dialogue, let's wreck some cars.
There you go.
That
My kind of movie right there. So what about the Italian job? How'd that go?
was good. That was good. I actually there's a sequence in Italy where there's a little speedboat going through the canals, and he kind of veers off and crashes and goes up on a wall and does a crash. I was up for that part. It was between me and the guy that ended up getting it. The director looked at both headshots and he got the job. I didn't. And the guy that did that gag ended up with a stunt Taurus award, which is basically in the stunt world is our Oscars.
Really?
Yeah, so he got that, and that could have been me, but it was still a fun job.
So what'd you end up doing? Where'd they put you?
I did a lot of the rigging and setting up of the cars, the little Mini Coopers, getting the jumps set up and building ramps, and I helped with a lot of that stuff.
So let me ask you a question, because I mean, I've watched that movie so many times. The part where they're hauling ass down the
Tunnel.
yeah, through the tunnel, and then they go out and jump down. You know what
Yes.
I mean? That
Yeah,
scene.
yeah, yeah.
How fast were they really going? Did they actually put something in those cars to make those go a little bit faster or
Oh no, 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 no. They were all stock cars for the most part. Yeah, and they all had roll cages, and and then just building the ramps, and when then movie magic happens, the cameras and everything and so forth. So, you know, they can make it look like it's going way faster than it really is. I mean, not that, I mean, they were going fast, absolutely, but they can speed it up in post and so forth and tweak it, as you know. But yeah, so yeah, that was a fun sequence.
I'm hoping they didn't do that in the movie Gone with 60 Seconds, because one of my favorite scenes is that Shelby hauling ass in that car.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't work on that one, unfortunately. But there's all kinds of tricks. But not to say that it's all tricks, because it certainly isn't.
Yeah.
A lot of times the speed is really the speed. So yeah,
Oh, I could probably get a job as a stunt driver.
yeah.
I've done one scene. Well, there was this little thing that we did. I went ahead and let them use my house because they lost their location. And what was funny about it was nobody knew how to drive a stick shift except for the guy who was operating the camera, because that was his car, and
Sure.
myself. So I ended up driving his car.
Nice.
I thought that was so fun, but I've been dying to do something on motorcycles because I'm a big
Oh,
cycle
yeah,
girl.
yeah.
I love
Well, it's
riding.
interesting when you bring up stick shifts. That's the best theft deterrent today. And today, if you have a car with a stick shift, you can leave the car open with the keys in the ignition, because as soon as someone goes to steal, they're going to go, "Oh shit," and get right back out of the car.
It makes me wonder. I mean, all these little kids, well, to me, they're little kids, but anyway, the ones that are out on little crotch rockets and stuff like that. I If you can be on a motorcycle, you should know how to drive a stick shift, or you just don't need to be on that motorcycle.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Oh, it's crazy. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been working in the film industry for 26 years.
You said it with disdain. 20 years.
26 years. And I started in Cleveland, Ohio. I was your neighbor.
The weather here, it just kills me because one day it's 80, then it's 50, then you've got 5 feet of snow, and then the next day is 80. I'm like,
And
somebody,
then all of a sudden you got a head cold and you're sick.
yeah, they need to hook Mother Nature up with some tequila or something, put her
Oh
out.
yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
It is.
Favorite job? What's well, the most fun you've had? What set is that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Uh,
That could be.
wow. Yeah, because no, honestly, they're all fun. Even even Michael Bay. um, wow. I think that's a toss up, but to one of them I would say would be the movie Miami Vice. I stunt doubled Colin Farrell, and I was there uh, for about 7 weeks, not consistently. They sent me home a couple of times, but overall, I think it was about 7 or 8 weeks in Miami. So that was a ton of fun, and going to hang out in Miami, and I can't tell you how many times they brought me in for a week, and they only used me for like 2 days. So the other 5 days, I was out running around in Miami and getting paid to be there.
I can kind of see that though, the Colin look, sort of,
Oh,
in your facial
well, you
features.
got to see the picture. I don't know how well it'll show up through the monitor, but if that isn't a good double, I don't know what is. Can you see that?
Sort of,
You want me to send
right?
it close? Too far, too
Pull it
close?
back just a little bit. You can just send it to me and I'll put it up. I see
Yeah.
it though. Everything kind of matches, but I see it in your face. How I have not.
Yeah. Well, back then too, it was really good. It was, yeah. No, it was spot on. Like, matter
Yeah.
of fact, it was so much fun on the set. The extras were coming up to me and going, "Oh, can I get a picture with you?" And I'm like, "Sure, but I'm not Colin. I'm his double." And they're like, "What? Really?" And they're like, "Okay, I'll take a picture with you anyhow."
As most do. They don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
I
no, and interesting story on that level too. Um, 80% of the film was shot at night, so we were in dark. I mean, the place was lit up, but it was still dark. And Michael Mann was the director on that one. And I'm telling you, at least a dozen times he would come up to me and put his arm around me and start talking about the next sequence, thinking I was Colin. And I would look at it, I go, and at first, I would say, Michael, I'm Eric. This is Eric. And he's like, oh, where's Colin? Where's Colin? But then as time went on, I started playing with it, and he'd come up to me, put his arm around me, start talking with me, and I would just start talking back about the scene, like as if I was Colin. And it was great because it would last for several minutes before he would actually realize and go, oh my God, all right, Eric, quit screwing around with, where's Colin? So it was a blast.
We call that film lag instead
Yes.
of lag. Film lag. Yeah, I know that feeling. I've done some cold nights and some fun things. I have a lot of,
Yes.
I like to mess around. If we're not doing anything, it's fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what kind of advice do you have for people wanting to get in this business?
Go get a real job. No.
Arby's, anybody?
No, it's an interesting career, to say the least. And everybody's different. Everybody, as far as how things take off or don't take off, or for me, it was a little slow-ish. When I first started pursuing it, it had its struggles, because it's just like an actor or anybody else in any department in the film industry. If you don't have a resume, no one's going to hire you. But how do you get a resume if you don't get hired? So it's kind of,
this damn circle, and explaining that to people, they're like, what? And I'm like, well, if you don't have a resume, and then you've got extra work, and then you can't put some, unless it's features or
exactly.
I'm like, you know what? I told every people, I'm like, just put it down anyway to get yourself on set, and just put, you weren't the featured extra, but you were featured in the damn film. Just it by so they know you got experience until you build your resume. It's like little things you can do.
Yeah, but overall it's tough, and especially with stunts, because you're stunt coordinators, if they hire you to do a big stunt, they're putting their own neck on the line, for number one, because they hired you. And if you screw up, you can hurt yourself or hurt someone else. And, so it's a much bigger arena, I would have to say, than, being an actor. Because if you get up in front of the camera and you screw up your dialogue, okay, they fire you and replace you, nobody got hurt. Stunts, you screw up, you can hurt yourself or someone else. And also the stunt coordinator's career is then in jeopardy too, because he's the one who hired you. So it's definitely a huge challenge. So yeah, it takes some time, and you have to be patient. And some people, like I say, they get in right away and get lucky and be in the right place at the right time, and they're off and running. And sometimes it takes a little while, like myself. And I started off with student films and obviously non-paid films. I did so much free stuff in the beginning, just to get my feet wet, and and then you can build from there. So, and that's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, when you are first starting out to build the resume, you do have to do a lot of free work. But this is something I try to explain to even like the actors I work with. Just because you're new, do not think when you get on those film sets, even if it's a small set, that there are not huge people on those sets,
Absolutely.
because you could be working with anybody and not even have a clue.
Oh yeah.
You don't have a clue, and they can be up. And if they see that you're working, you're there, you're working every day, then guess what? Because this industry is not that, it's not that big. It really is. And everybody talks, and plus they take pictures, of people. So they're going to know if you're doing your job or not,
Absolutely.
So that's good, especially if they're willing, some will even write you a letter of recommendation.
Absolutely.
Depending
And
on
you never know who somebody's going to be next week, next month, or next year. The PA that's bossing you around on set while you're an extra might be directing next year. So that's, you always have to, you know, have good set etiquette overall, have a good attitude, have fun with it. Don't be rude to people. Don't be mean to anybody. You know, and always just remain, be professional. That's because I've seen so many people over the years that are so unprofessional, and you know, they just come in with attitudes, and I always think, God, where do you think that's going to get you? I mean, and you know, you might be getting in an argument with one of the PAs, but people, like you say, it spreads. People talk about that. They'll hit, you know, you can't do that. And again, like I said, a PA could be a director next year, and I've
I,
seen it. So
I started as an extra. I
I
did.
did too.
And I mean, it was so much fun, but I went from there to producing, and I'm gonna tell you right now, producing, it is not fun. People do not get how much pressure it is,
Oh, sure.
especially when you are doing a lot
Of
and
course.
get it. And they're like, well, why are you so irritated? Well, you deal with the shit I'm dealing with, and you talk
Absolutely.
about why I'm irritated.
Oh, yes.
Because you couldn't handle a week, not even a day. Some people couldn't even do a day.
I believe it.
It's just
Oh,
tequila.
yeah. You're carrying all the weight. Absolutely.
I'm telling you. So, what is the worst injury that you've ever had from doing?
Um, Dislocated my shoulder, broke my ankle, cracked a couple ribs. Um, I think that's about it. I've been pretty fortunate, I would say. I mean, I've gotten a lot of bumps and bruises, and rattled my cage many a times. Um, yes, but overall, I've few broken bones, but it's not dramatic. I mean, it was at the time, I guess. But yeah, no, for the most part, especially nowadays, stunts are way safer than a lot of people know. If you were, you know, if you hung with me from the beginning of the creative side of a stunt, and then watch the process of the build and what goes into it, and then you see the end product, you get a whole different perspective of how a stunt is really put together, and it's designed and created to make like it's completely out of control, but it's really in control. We try to keep it in control as much as possible, and give the camera the illusion that this is a completely out of control scenario. And yeah, there's always risk. It doesn't mean that there's no risk. There's always a risk, you know, for something to go wrong, whether it be a mechanical failure or human error failure in one way or another. So, you know, there's still huge risks involved, and I'm not downplaying it, but as opposed to 30 years ago or earlier, you know, back then it was more of a cowboy style, just kind of go for it kind of attitude. Where now it's extremely calculated, you know. So
Yeah. Um, well, on that note, as far as human error, um, Wetzel, when I had him on, actually did some instructions about firearm safety, which
sure.
I thought was very useful. Like, because there's a lot of people, even the ones, I'm not talking about bigger sets, because bigger sets know, they know, but the smaller sets, it's so useful because they do use blinks, and not a lot of people are, complete weapons masters or anything like that on there. So I'm hoping that that helped.
Oh
And
yeah.
so with you, when you're using those kind of weapons, do you double check them, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you have the gun wrangler always obviously on set, and you all, they're very good. I've never had a problem with any gun wrangler, but obviously, you know, there's been some incidences and deaths in the history of filmmaking, obviously, unfortunately. But my experiences have always been really very professional with any gun wrangler that I'm working with. And, you know, they'll show you everything. They'll show the chambers clear or whatever, and you then double check it yourself, obviously. And you know, there's a lot of basic 101s with it, and you know, being like never pointed at anybody, which should be basic common sense. But as we all know, basic common sense doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And even when you're dealing with, shooting at another person, a character or so forth, you don't have to ever point that gun directly at them. Even if that scene calls for it, you can always point, a foot off, and the camera won't know the difference. The camera doesn't know if you're a foot off or not. You can cheat it, there's many ways to cheat it. So even if you're dealing with a blank or even an empty gun, you still never want to point it directly at anybody, and even during a sequence.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely, and I've seen also, unfortunately, through the years, um, other actors or other stunt people that are just really negligent with like picking up the guns, and they start looking at and playing and touching. You don't do that. You just don't touch the firearm unless it's handed to you by the firearms wrangler. It's not, and I've seen many, many times over the years, especially on lower budget films,
Mhm.
people just picking up these guns. And I'm just like, wow, where did they get any training, or do they have any training, and or basic common sense?
I've seen that. I can't remember which one it was. It was something that I've done where somebody kept going up. I think I was a production manager and just playing around with guns.
Oh yeah,
Like, what the heck?
I've seen it dozens of times,
Yeah. It's
and I just sit there shaking my head, going, "Wow, these are the most unprofessional people on the set." And how somebody isn't, coming up, first AD, gun wrangler, somebody coming up and slap them in the back of the
I
head
think
and say,
it
"What are you
was at
doing?"
lunch when it happened and they were on the table, and I think there was like an extra. I knew there was an extra person. I'm having a hell of a time trying to remember, but I remember seeing it because I was
Sure.
busy as hell and playing with the guns. And I'm just like, or going to move them or something like that. And I'm like, don't touch them.
No, you never, ever, ever touch them unless the gun wrangler hands it to you. You don't ever touch any firearms on set. And I've seen, just like you said, I've seen an extra go over and grab one. I've seen actors do it. I've even seen stunt people do it. And I'm just like, wow, just we're
Seriously, they know. They know better. You guys know better. What the hell?
they're supposed to. You're supposed to be a professional at all times, no matter what.
Oh my goodness. So how do you
Yeah.
feel about the strike being over?
Oh well, yeah, and yeah, well, we'll see where it all goes, because AI is still going to destroy us, and especially stunts. It won't be long. I feel that they won't have a need for stunts people, because they'll be able to AI everything.
Well, not I don't feel like it's going to be like that with everybody because in some of the projects that I'm doing, I don't want a lot. I don't want AI because
Sure,
it's so much fun, you know.
right, but
It's a
as
real thing. It
you're right,
better. It does. It looks better. Yeah,
I
you could do a lot of shit. Don't get me wrong with computers, I get it. But what the hell? You still got to have fun because if you're making all your movies by, the AI and art, everything's artificial. Where is the fun in that? I mean, where is the fun? It takes the fun out of it.
I couldn't agree more. As a stunt performer, I could not agree more. But you know what it always comes down to is the dollar. And if they can get away with AI and it's going to cost them half the price or less,
Yeah.
guess what? They don't care about fun.
Well, yeah,
Fun goes out the window.
they're skipping out on the budget.
Yeah. The minute the money equation gets put in there, that's when the decision gets made.
Yeah. So do you have anything you're going to be working on that you can name drop that's
I
coming?
don't. I do. I mean, I can't really name anything, but and again, it's the film industry, as you know, until there's a contract with your name on it, it's
Yeah.
all talk. It's all hot air. But as far as hot air goes, I do have something coming up in January. It's a feature film. It's the best I can say. And it's a car chase sequence, and in the end of the car chase sequence, in the director's words, he wants a big pipe ramp. And for people that don't know what a pipe ramp is, it's a car going off of a single pipe and hitting it and spiraling through the air and crashing and tumbling. And
Sounds like fun.
it is. It is. It's definitely a bunch of fun.
I'm a ballsy female. But I mean, I grew up with 8 brothers. So it's just like when I grew up, it was always me hanging out with the guys or
Of
me hanging out
course.
with my brothers, or I just had so much fun. Like, I'll tell you a story. My brother, um, he's my oldest brother, actually. He used to race dirt bikes. And my grandmother back then, oh my God, I was so small. She had like this junkyard type thing outside on land, you know what I mean? Because it was
Uh-huh.
free and
Sure.
she had her house and then like a junkyard and there was school buses and cars and everything else. And my brother had me on the dirt bike with him and we were jumping all this stuff through
Nice.
hard. And I grew, I grew some balls because when I I went out on the four-wheeler and I left by myself and I came back racing these 2 actual racers in the desert. But
Nice.
I'd been there so many times that I knew if you were going straight through, it was out by Nellis Air Force Base. There was a drop. You could go this way or this way. And if you stayed going this way, your ass was falling 10 feet. So
Sure.
I knew about it. And I think the other guy kind of knew about it too, but his buddy didn't because
Uh-oh.
beard out, on the quads, and here goes that guy, and I'm like, I'm not stopping, dude, to help you. I gotta. I was done with that. I was just like, no way, no, no way. But
Nice.
no fun. My sister's like, damn, you left by yourself and you came back with these 2 people. I'm like,
That sounds like a
"Eh,
perfect movie sequence right there. I
eh,
like that.
good times. I'm telling.
It's too bad you weren't filming all that back then.
Yeah, they didn't have these kind of phones.
I know. Oh, I know.
Up internet back then.
Of course.
Age slip.
Yeah.
I don't miss that one bit though, that dial-up noise. I can't stand that. I
I know, right?
It's the worst. You wait for 20 minutes for that thing to spin, then
Oh God.
and you want to throw your computer. I hated that. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
It was horrible. So what's the craziest thing you've done?
Uh, that's a long list. Um, I would say one of them would be I for 20 uh, Camaro Chevrolet's Camaro had a 50th year anniversary, and it was in 2017. And they wanted to do something big and spectacular for Camaro's 50th birthday. So I ended up in Brazil, and I jumped a 2017 Camaro from the top of one semi truck to the top of another semi truck while they were driving. And it was about a 35-foot gap in between the two of them. So that one was, and bittersweet. Um, Guinness World Records was there to document it because no one's ever done such a thing. And I was up for a Guinness World Record for this stunt. And they had come in from the UK to document, film it, and record it. And after the jump, they did not give me my award because I wrecked the car. Yeah, but I made the jump.
It's like, goodness, what the hell is wrong with you?
I know. I couldn't believe it either. Trust me.
Bullshit.
I know, and I made the jump. I didn't fall off the sides of the trucks. But as what happened is I built a catcher at the end of the semi truck that I was landing on
Yeah.
because I knew I was never going to be able to stop in time. And if I didn't stop in time and there was no catcher, I was going to go into the semi rig, into the driver that's driving the rig. So we built a steel wall and filled it with tires. And I just stuffed the car into it. And, it smashed the front end a little bit. And that was it. But they were claiming because I wrecked the car, it doesn't count as a Guinness World Record.
what did
Talk
they
about disappointing.
do? Stay on the truck until you pulled back up? I mean,
Yeah, no, it was, yeah. I'll send you the link to the actual commercial video, and you'll see. And in the video, we did some movie magic. It shows that I made, I did make the jump, but at the end, there was no catcher, and the car stops right at the end because of what we did. Obviously, we filmed that the day before of me stopping at the end, and then we edited it, but everything else in this commercial and the jump is real. It was a real jump because I even had some comments on YouTube where people are going, oh, I can't believe Chevrolet has come to, faking these, editing these jumps and not making them real. And there's a lot of naysayers out there going, oh, that wasn't real, but it was. The whole jump is legit. It's real. The only thing at the very end, it shows me stopping right at the edge
Mhm.
and not going over. That was the only little movie magic, but everything else is real.
Guinness, you guys owe this man.
I think so.
You owe him an award. Get off your asses and give the man his award. He earned it.
I couldn't agree more.
You earned,
And
sometimes you got to call people out, man. What are they thinking?
I
Come on.
and it's funny you say that because for years I've been thinking about trying to call them and talk to them, and I don't, but trying to get through to somebody that has any kind of official powers. I doubt that even is it. But I also thought about just redoing the gag, and I've even reached out to the director that did all this and said, "Hey, let's do this again and make it legit." And but I really need to do a little more on that, push it a little harder.
I would put a clause in it. You know what I would put in that contract? I'll give you another 4 feet. And if I wreck the damn car, your ass is giving me the award.
Right? I like that.
Get him with the clause.
Yeah, we
Right
should have done that in the beginning. I know. But and the other part of that is I didn't know that was a stipulation. If I knew that was, I would have set it up differently, or talk to everybody about setting it differently. If they would have said hey, if you wreck the car, it doesn't count. I wasn't aware of any of that. Had I known that, I think we could have set it up differently.
Well, don't they have the things where you can put them on the front? I know I've seen them, where you can put them on the front of the cars and then they like lower, like a tow truck thing. You know what I mean? Where it drops, even if it was down to
Sure.
where once you hit it, instead of hitting the tires, it'd be the tow truck thing.
Yeah, you could. There's definitely there's many options. Now in hindsight, of course, one is could have built the ramps right over top of the cab of the semi, and I could have just kept going, and I could have dropped off the front of the semi and just leave it, a foot off the ground, and I could have just like a car carrier. They have the ramps on a car carrier to
Yeah.
load cars and deliver them. Could have done the ramps right off the front of the semi, and I could have just drove right off and jumped right onto the ground and drove away. That would have been one option. Another is like an aircraft carrier. When the planes come in, there's a catch cord that hooks, it hooks the underneath and stops you. We could have set something up in that. So there's options.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have the opportunity again. So Chevrolet, Ford, Chrysler, anybody listening, watching, if you want to let's do it. Let's get together. Let's make this happen.
Right. Even if we got to bring Pontiac back, we don't
Oh, that too.
we don't care. We're gonna jump shit. That's
Oh
just
yeah.
what it is. That kind of just, I don't know. I won't go any more into the detail on my thought of that, but I think you got screwed anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
So outside of the movie in January, you're basically up for hire, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
See, there you go, guys. Stuntman for
Yeah,
hire.
yeah, yeah. Well, and also on that note, I'm not a one-trick pony. Like I've said in the beginning of this, I can do a little dialogue. I'm not afraid of dialogue. Not that that's my forte. Um, but when it comes to stunts, I can sit down on the creative side of it and help design and create any stunt from A to Z. any action sequence. And not only can I help create design, I can build hands-on anything that requires any kind of structural build of any kind, from cars to motorcycles, boats, semis. I don't care what it is. I have and I do build everything myself. I'm a welder fabricator. And then I can also jump into the vehicle or motorcycle or whatever, and actually perform the stunt. So I run the gamut from the beginning to the end of any action sequence. I can handle anything. And
Yeah.
yeah,
You're jack of the trade.
and that's what I've been pushing for years. And would love to get in with some directors and producers that are looking for someone like myself, because, like I said, I do it all. It's not just and no offense to all the stunt coordinators out there, but a lot of them don't have the hands-on of knowledge of knowing the mechanics of building certain rigs and so forth. And they hire the right people, which is what their job is, obviously, to hire the right people for the right job. But I'm also that guy. I'm the guy that does it all. I can build it, I can create it, I can perform it, I can handle anything.
I like experience.
Yes.
Especially in stuff, stuff like that. I really feel like the people with the experience, I get everybody needs the learning curve, and
Oh, for sure.
but if it's something that's really, really important and you don't want it screwed up, you don't want somebody who's only been doing it for 5 years.
Oh,
You
of course.
want somebody who's old school, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? In that industry. That way there you don't, I think it would set somebody's mind at ease, knowing that you
sure.
have somebody that's, been around for 26 years and they're still here. So we're good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good sign, I guess. And I can still run and jump and hit the ground just like a 25. So, and I've done outdone 25-year-olds. So
Me
that's
too. Me,
oh,
I got my kids go all the way from 15 to 20, no, actually 30. 30. Yeah. It's a blended family, so some are
okay.
older, yeah. But I
Nice.
mean, no, I wasn't that young. Um, but I mean, it's just the kids. Well, to me, they're kids. I don't care if they're like in their 20s. I'll still call them kids. But
Sure.
it's just
Oh
so,
yeah.
because it was a couple weeks ago, my niece come over and she's 28. And I have this strict rule that no kids are eating in the living room.
Oh
And
yeah.
there was a bunch of us, like, God, there was about 20
I
of us.
grew up with that rule. I know it well.
She went to bring her food. I'm like, nope. Right back to the table. She's like, I'm 20s. I don't give a shit. To me, you're this big. Take it back in there, and you're gonna sit right there and eat.
Absolutely. I grew up in that house.
On you what? All right. Well, we are definitely gonna wrap this up. I'm
All
gonna
right.
run after this. I'm gonna definitely say thank you for coming on. It's
Thank you for having me. I
been fun. Hell yeah.
absolutely.
I love stories. I love to hear
Oh,
everybody.
I got a million of those. I could go on for hours. Trust me.
Hell yeah. All right, guys, to everybody out there, we want to say thank you for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank
Bye.
you.